Many people, when they export from SAP, they start working right away on that raw data. That's the first mistake. Another thing possible to automate is that any extractions you do from SAP, from any variant with the layout that you want, you can have that automated. The ABAPers can write like a batch file at night to run that variant and layout to export the data as a batch process, either nightly or weekly, whatever is required. So that way you have the data exports. What I highly recommend in a layout is export all the columns, because when you manage that data, whether it's an Excel, Access, or SQL, like an online database, having all the columns is an advantage, because then you can use it for different purposes. You just don't show the columns you don't need. So this is an example on your screen here of an export from me5a, which is basically all the list of outstanding purchase recs. Now, these purchase recs have in the front is the manufacturer part number of the item being ordered. So when you export the data like this, you just leave the data alone. Save it as, what I do is save it as me5a. I sometimes even put the word raw in the file name. And then in the template that you're going to do the manipulation of the data, you link to that raw data file. And to link to it, if you have an older version of Excel, in the data tab, you won't have the get data option. You can just go to existing connections, browse for more, and change the file type to Excel, and then browse for the file. So what I put the file was on my desktop as a dump, and normally you'd put it somewhere on the server so that SAP can save it in the same location, and as long as you don't use map drive letters, use dynamic paths, then anybody can access this, the template. So on my desktop, there's the data file. So if you do have the newer version of Excel, then you can just go get data from Excel. So now the data comes in and it's already formatted. That shows you that it is connected to the data as a database. And you can hide the columns you don't want to see. One of the advantages of doing this is that if you scroll to the right, I'm just going to move myself a little bit. If you scroll to the right and you add any formula, like say I want to have the, in the new Excel you can use the search command. In the old Excel you have to use the find command, but I want to do a search for the part number. So I'm searching the description, and I want to find where the space appears. So the search function, it needs to have what I'm looking for first. So it's the space and then where I'm searching. And you notice when I clicked on where I'm searching, it actually didn't put the cell reference, it put the code of the data table. That's like the reference to that field label. So I want to search for the space in that, and I want to start at the beginning, so I don't need to put a start number. If you wanted to start like 3 characters over, then you would put a number there. Now when I hit the enter key, it automatically copies down the formula for every single row. Now when you update the data, say your raw data table was 20,000 more rows, the formula is automatically copied all the way down, so you don't have to worry about that. Now you notice one of these cells says value because there's no spaces in that description. There's just a single word. So I could fix that easily by using the if error command. So I just go if error, because basically if it's an error, I don't want it to show anything, or I want it to show the description itself. So if error, then I want it to show nothing. So that takes care of that problem. Now the reason I did this search is because, and you can nest it all in one formula, but in some situations you can't because it's a database. You need to do the formulas in stages. The reason why I want to find where that space is because now I want to have the extraction of the first word. So I'm going to basically say equal the left of that cell, the short text. You know how you do left and then how many characters over you want? Well, I want it to be the length of this minus 1. So now I've extracted the manufacturer part numbers. Now, you notice this one say value because -1 doesn't make sense. So I'll do the if error because I want the actual description. So if error, if that's an error, what do I want? I want the actual short text, the full meal deal. So there you go. So that because maybe that person just puts the manufacturer part number, so that captures that. So now I got the manufacturer part number. The reason why I wanted that extracted from the short text is that I've already done it in this spreadsheet. Is I wanted to find all the SAP numbers that map. So I had to extract all the materials from SAP, from a Z transaction, so it has everything: bin, location, manufacturer part number, legacy number, all the data I need. So in here it's saying find that manufacturer part number, right, which is this cell here, and find it in that VLOOKUP, the table of all materials. And then that way I can see which requisitions, direct requisition free text, didn't have to be done because there's already SAP numbers for them. And there's the result. So the reason I want the manufacturer part number there is because I want to search in SAP. So here's an export from a Z transaction that has all the columns of data. Another reason it's a good idea to link to a raw Excel sheet, to have it linked as a database, is that it's extremely fast. When you do a drop-down search, like this data list has over 21,000 rows, and it's extremely fast. When I hit the drop-down and I say search for cart, brings up the list real quick. So that's another reason. Just hit clear and clear the filter. So this example here, it says find that manufacturer part number in that data table, and if it finds a match, it shows it in here. So you'll see there are some hits. So those are purchase recs that were done in free text that didn't have to be done in free text. There's an SAP material number for those ones. And that's it. Basically, an idea of using Excel as a link to raw data, and this is some examples of why you would do that.